Ready for the video?
Heck yes.
Let's do it.
Reproductive life,
men.
in some way it was
That's
spread
a
out
lot.
throughout. So reproductive,
So estrogen
because
and
that's
estrogen
not
production
physical
from our
enough.
fat cells.
If you're working in a
and
field,
too high of estrogen can definitely…
unless
bingo!
they take care of themselves, taking care of level of percentages.
I could not agree anymore
Society
with
is
that
reaching an
statement. Crazy lifestyle, very Vata-driven lifestyle that we live. I'm always a little bit weary with men talking about this topic because…
Present practice. What's conscious? This is Vish and
I'm Maddie Miles.
And today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on
Women's reproductive health.
My name is Vish. I'm an aspiring yogi, love all things wisdom, yoga, and meditation based. Super grateful to have Maddie on the show. Want to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Maddie Miles. I'm the founder of Peace Love Hormones and I make nutritional supplements to help kick your PMS to the curb.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Maddie. Now, Maddie, have you heard of Sadhguru before?
I have.
What do you know about him?
Not much other than that he is incredible and does a lot of work around meditation.
Well, you're not wrong, and with that,
Let's get into the video.
In today's world, the way the society is structured, the way the many aspects of life has arranged itself, women have to care much more about their health than men.
do you agree?
Simply because nature has invested a very elaborate reproductive system in a woman. We were all born out of a woman's womb, so there was an
Hell yeah.
elaborate system inside. Normally, if you look back, they would start using the reproductive system by the age they were 15, 16. It was put to use probably throughout their life, at least throughout their reproductive
those
life.
men.
In some way it was put to use. If a woman had 6 or 7 or 8 children in her lifetime, most probably it was
That's
spread
a
out
lot.
throughout. So reproductive organs were used in a certain way. Because of that, she did not have those issues as they have today. Another
Preach.
reason is, both men and women, of course, were working hard physically, physical work. Because of physical work, there never was any fat around the abdomen. At a young age,
That's super
if a
interesting.
girl gathers abdominal fat, she is asking for it. There's simply no two ways about it. How soon or how late depends on various genetic and other aspects of life, but once abdominal fat gathers, then a young woman is definitely inviting trouble for herself. It'll come.
Do you think so?
Not enough activity,
Yes, everything
physical
in balance.
activity, I
We do
mean.
need fat, but an excess
They
of
may be
fat
working
is
in an
where we
office.
store a lot of
That
toxins
doesn't mean
and also
anything,
estrogen
because
and
that's
estrogen
not
production
physical
from our
enough.
fat cells.
If you're working in a
And
field,
too high of estrogen can definitely cause
that would
issues.
be different.
Thanks for sharing.
I think the problems that you're mentioning largely are happening in urban women simply because their physical activity, even if they exercise, it's half an hour, 1 hour in the morning, rest of the time they're sitting, sitting, sitting. So, because of this, there is not enough activity in that region. That's one reason. Another thing is reproductive process is not made use of, that's another reason. So if you're not using your reproduction process, that is, if you're not bearing a child before you're 21 years of age, it's
That's
very,
young.
very
Wow.
important that you must do hatha yoga. If you do gym, if you run, if you do this and that, run to some extent. But if you're just gymming and doing muscles and you're looking fit, that's not good.
Alrighty, Maddie, so far, what are your thoughts on what he's sharing?
I think mostly he has the gist of it, right? But I'm always a little bit weary with men talking about this topic because they'll never truly know, Mad respect for anyone who's trying to put any type of like emotional, physical energy into this topic because it's such an important one. But being a woman, being a menstruator of my reproductive years, I always have a little bit of some opinions about when men speak about it because they never truly know and will never know.
That is awesome to hear in terms of your transparency. I definitely love the honesty there, right? I think it's a great point. We could at least, I mean, I'm not a woman, but we can try our best to empathize, but I don't think I'll ever know what it feels like, right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And to go off like the exercise bit a little bit more, I think also because of the age that we live in where eating disorders are so prevalent and there's so many mixed messages sent to women, right? About like how we need to exercise and eat and how we need to look in order to be beautiful. So to say like, don't do the gym or do the gym or any of these like very like strict rules, do hatha yoga, all of this stuff, there's a way that it could be said in a more nurturing way that we won't turn into something more disordered and more obsessive, if that makes sense.
Those are great points. No, I definitely agree. And I guess I will say with regards to his recommendations, at least what I interpreted was, I think a lot of us today, especially in the urban settings, as he mentioned, whether it's a guy or a girl, we tend to be very externally physically oriented and care about the external looks. I think what he was trying to go after was it's important to care of the internal, not just the external and getting those muscles. But no, I agree. I think any sort of identification to anything, right, and just being all about that can lead to just an unhealthy path.
Absolutely, because also as menstruators in our reproductive years, our hormones are going through major fluctuations throughout our cycle, which can be anywhere from 26 to 32 days. And so, you know, there are different exercises that we should be doing throughout our cycle that will help optimize our total physical, emotional, spiritual well-being. So to just do yoga all cycle long, you can totally do that, but also in conjunction with, you know, during the phases where you have higher testosterone, you can do some more weightlifting. Again, that's totally person dependent on how much weight you're actually lifting in those sessions, but you get what I'm saying? Like the workouts should really flow throughout your cycle.
100%. I appreciate you sharing. And with that, let's get back into the video.
Sweet.
You must do intense hatha yoga. From the age of 12, if a girl child starts doing hatha yoga, she will go through all those issues most of them think is a big issue and go through lots of struggles for every stage of development within themselves. They will go through this effortlessly. So this has to come, that if reproductive health of a woman has to be maintained
Absolutely.
Without reproducing, it's very important that certain things are done, and that part of what you're doing should be largely focused in the thoracic region or the abdominal region, must be worked in a certain way. There is no system which works it the way the Hatha Yoga, the systems of Hatha Yoga will work it.
Interrelated.
And there are specific asanas and processes which can be taught. If they do this, they need not go through all those medical stuff that unfortunately
Over
the numbers
80%.
are rising in a big way. Another dimension of this is also urban young women these days, a lot of them are very disturbed about something or the other. At one time, only your family or your children or your husband or your immediate friends disturbed you. Now you have friendship across the globe and just about anybody can freak you.
Social media, I think, is a huge culprit. That's what he's talking about.
So just a message is enough that you worry about it for next 3 days, for whatever reasons. I don't want to blame it on any one thing. It has become a norm that everybody must be stressed.
That should be normal. What do you think?
Nope,
So
absolutely
this
not,
also
but
can
it
be
is.
very easily
Unfortunately.
handled. The basic body chemistry can be brought to such a level of balance within you if you do the right kind of yoga. And this is the solution for the future generations. Otherwise, this will rise because today, I think, including the rural, tribal, all kinds of women put together, the average childbearing age, I think, has gone up to 22 or so. But I believe in the next 25 years, it will go to 35 most probably,
Yes,
and it's a
totally.
very good thing. So if it goes up to 35, then the number of these
As
type
long
of
as we keep
issues
taking care of
that
ourselves.
young women will have will multiply manyfold unless
Nope,
they
bingo.
take care of themselves. Taking care of themselves is not about medicine, not about doctors. You must start yogic processes
Hey, I'm
so that
going to
the
yoga
body
tomorrow.
brings a certain balance. Chemical balance is there in the system, hormonal balance is there in the system. All this glandular secretions are happening well in a balanced manner. If this is happening, they will not go into this mode of unnecessary ailment. Well, a percentage of people will always have some physical illness, that's a different matter. But right now there's an unnatural level of percentages.
I could not agree anymore
Society
with
is
that
reaching an
statement.
unnatural level of sickness. So that
Heck
has to
yeah.
be brought down, it's very important.
So Maddie, after watching this, would you say your first ever Sadhguru video? What are your thoughts? And let's hear it.
I really love his wisdom. I would love to know like where that all came from too, and would love to know a story more. But I think in general, amazing information and insight for such a small video. Of course, it goes so much deeper than that, but you know, he nailed it on the head. We have to address stress, and stress comes in so many different forms. A lot of people just think like, oh, it's me opening up my email and having like a full email inbox, but stress comes in so many different ways. It comes from a lack of sleep, a lack of water, toxins, which our environment is incredibly toxic. There are over 144,000 known man-made toxic
That's a lot, wow.
in our environment, and we encounter so many of them on a daily basis. Our livers are getting sluggish, which are our body's filter and our main detoxification. So we really need to make sure that we're optimizing all areas of our life. So it goes beyond just doing, you know, hatha yoga on a daily basis. It goes beyond just, you know, reducing stress. You know, we really have to combat stress in this crazy lifestyle, very vata-driven lifestyle that we live in, and tap more back into like the parasympathetic mode as much as we can, because we only can recover when we're resting.
That is amazing insight right there, Maddie. Thank you so much for sharing. And no, that was actually really cool. I learned so much in that little brief gist of, like you mentioned, the video itself. Again, deep topic, but it is only a 5 to 6 minute video, so only so much can be talked about. And I love your insight as well with what you connected with and so on. And I definitely agree. I think it's multidimensional, right? I think there's a couple of things here. One is that we all have different levels of whether it's the body, mind, emotions, energy. We all have different levels and places at where we're at, right? And so I think it's important to definitely curtail your solution accordingly, right? And so that way we're all, you know, just helped out the best way and best method. Because I don't think one, or actually this is where I'm a bit, I'll leave it open-ended as an I don't know, because I think that's super powerful. It's okay to just say I don't know at times. But you did mention actually the Hatha Yoga, which he talked about too. Let me ask you this. What does Hatha Yoga mean to you?
So to me, it really just means, I mean, because when I practice yoga, this is the time where I
What does yoga mean to you?
Yes, it really just means becoming more in tune with my body. And this is the only time, really the only form of exercise that I really am able to just disconnect from everything going on off the mat and to go more inward and stay on the mat. It's a reminder for me to breathe, for me to move with my breath, and for me to be conscious of my thoughts, because we have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts every single day, and a lot of them tend to be negative. So it's such a great reminder to just monitor those thoughts, because our cells listen to our thoughts. So again, we're only going to heal as properly and function as properly as positive as our thoughts are.
I couldn't agree less. And I will say that with the thoughts, in fact, I think I read the study recently which talked about how I think 80 to 90% of our thoughts are actually just a waste. And it's just, you know, another question actually, and let's get back into the yoga too for a second. But another question is, are we thinking, or is thinking happening to us?
Let me just think about that for a second. Are we thinking, or is thinking happening to us? I think we should be thinking, but more often than not today, the thinking is happening to us.
Exactly. So you nailed it right there. And so I think because of that, it's, as Sadhguru actually describes, mental diarrhea that we tend to have, and just an influx of whether it's negative, positive, even those, in fact, as I've learned from this journey, even labeling a thought as negative or positive is actually another thought on a thought. So just learning to kind of give the equanimous approach to your thoughts can help, you know, break that kind of distinction. But going back to yoga, I love that viewpoint that you had with yoga. And I will say, I think this is where I'm just gonna leave it open-ended as an I don't know, and I think maybe it's something you could shed some insight to. Yoga, I think, as we know of it to the West, is become, I think, a huge exercise-oriented thing, right? And I think now recently there's been a bit more talks about it being more mental as well as spiritual, but I think especially from what I've seen, because I was also doing hot yoga for a while, and so it's very exercise oriented. And I guess if I were to ask you, based over your experience, maybe not what you think now, but based over your experiences, if you had to give like a number, let's say percentage wise of yoga, let's say out of 100, whether it's 20, 30, 40, how much percent of it do you think is exercise?
90%.
Yeah, so that used to be me too as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, yoga classes now are full of weights and, crazy music, and, most of them are skipping Shavasana, so.
Exactly. So you, I think, nailed it again there, because I also used to think it was 90-95%, but according to Sadhguru, so he has that yogic background, right? So in fact, yoga did come from the East, right? And so the true roots of it is actually, two things. One is yoga actually translates to union. So that's what it literally means. And there's like a whole science, inner science, that is to achieve that union, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through certain physical postures. But the key here is to realize in yoga, only 5%, I think, is physical in real, like the real original yoga. Did you know that?
Right, I did know. Yeah, when you originally asked me, I thought you meant like, what do I think today's yoga classes are? And I would say the 90-10. But yes, traditionally, it's really like the good yoga, teachers and educators. Before every single class, they go, if you just want to lay in Shavasana or child's pose and just breathe the whole time, you are still doing yoga. And so that is just, if you've ever heard an instructor say that, it's really them just teaching you, reminding you that yoga is breath. It's the spiritual, and it's very little actually of the physical.
Exactly. So I love that you were able to get that insight, and just through your experience, I'm sure everyone will definitely pick up on that. And I think that's at least what my interpretation was with this video of like on Hatha yoga. It's like not the physical, but if you can get your breath in balance and do all those other things, that could be a solution. Now, again, am I a woman? Have I gone through this, and has it worked for me? I can't speak for that, right? So that's where I leave it open-ended.
That's where you follow me.
Exactly. That's where you'll follow her. We'd also love to hear what you think about the video, our conversation, what Maddie has to say, what I have to say, or Sadhguru has to say. It's an open platform, so share your views about whether you agree, disagree, does not matter. Or if you have questions, you can always comment down below. And if you have any other video reaction requests or topics that you want to hear about and us to react to, you can also comment down below. And Maddie, remind the viewers, where can they find you, and tell them more about yourself again.
Heck yes, please go over to Instagram and follow me at the Maddie Miles. Also at Peace Love Hormones is my brand Instagram page. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcast.
Thanks for sharing, Maddie. She does some super cool stuff. Again, all of her stuff, all her links will be down below. With that, make it a great day, take it joyful, and stay conscious. Awesome job, Maddie. You did great.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks,